Hello everyone, today we are going to continue with part C of chapter 2, that is self and personality. The first topic is about assessment of personality. We have to understand why we need to assess someone's personality. What are its benefits? Why are we going to waste time in that? First of all, it helps us to understand the other person inside out. Second, it helps us to predict their behavior in the future. For example, you have assessed someone's personality and you have found that aggressiveness is a dominant trait in it. So you can predict that if in future there is an interfering situation, the person can be physical, the person can be can give the response aggressively, the person can be physical. So in that way you can understand that how important is assessment of personality. There are certain techniques through which we can get that information. First is a psychometric test that you have read in chapter 1. That was about your intelligence. Second is your self-report measure. Third is your projective techniques, and last but not the least is behavioral analysis. Now you are going to understand all these techniques in depth shortly. The first technique is self-report measure. Now from the name only you can understand which asks the person only to report about herself or himself. So it was started by Gordon Allport. He believed the best way to assess someone's personality is to ask that person only to say about or to write about herself or himself. Now there are some fairly structured elements based upon the theories that were formed, and the quantitative responses are then interpreted by the norms of that particular test. Example is the Minnesota Multifaceted Personality Inventory, that is MMPI. You may ask why Minnesota is particularly 10. It is because the test was developed in that place. Now Minnesota is a place in US, that's why the name is like this. Now it was developed by Hathaway and McKinley. Now they have developed it for psychiatric diagnosis. It consists of 567 statements and then have 10 subsets in it, and it is quite useful to assess or diagnose different kind of psychological disorders like your depression, masculinity, femininity, and schizophrenia, mania, hysteria, and so on. Now Malik and Joshi, they have developed the Indian adaptation of it, which is Jodhpur Multifaceted Personality Inventory. The second example is your Ising Personality Questionnaire, EPQ. You have got an idea about it in the previous video. He tried to assess two dimensions of the personality. First was introverted and extroverted, then was your emotionally stable and emotionally unstable, and the third dimension was psychotism, which was related to your psychopathology. So people who are high on psychotism, they were hostile, they were egocentric, and they were antisocial as well. The last example of self-report measure is your 16 Personality Factor Questionnaire, 16PF, which was developed by your Raymond Cattell. It contains a lot of declarative statements that you have to say true or false according to you, and it is very useful in your career guidance, vocational exploration, and occupational testing. Now talking about the issues that we may face while using self-report measure, first is your social desirability. It is in the part of the subject that they try to endorse the items that will make her or him socially desirable. Means they don't reflect their true self in those answers. The next problem is your acquiescence. Now in acquiescence, the person tries to say yes to every item or say no to every item, irrespective of what the question is actually asking. So if there are a lot of questions like, are you racist, are you beautiful, are you hardworking, are you patient, are you discriminating to other people. So if the person is saying yes to everything, then you can understand there it shows acquiescence in the part of the subject. The third reason can be that since it is a self-report measure and the question is quite direct, now it can make the person or the subject self-conscious and they cannot reflect their true self through the answers. The next method is your projective technique. We have to understand that human behavior is governed by unconscious motives. Now, the projective techniques try to assess those unconscious desired motives and feelings. That's why the stimulus is less structured. There are certain features. First, that the stimulus are unstructured or poorly defined. Second, that the person being assessed is not usually told about the purpose of that assessment. For example, if you are being super honest with the subject and you are telling, you know what, I'm going to assess your personality. So on the part of the subject, they will understand that, okay, I have to be good boy, I have to be good girl, I have to show my best personality, which don't have a basis on the reality. So that's why, to avoid such contamination of the result, the person is not told about the purpose of the assessment. Third thing is that the person is told that there is no correct or incorrect response, so that the subject will be free from any kind of from any kind of social or mental barrier, and they can give the response as they want to. Then is that each response that they gave, they shows a significant aspect of their personality. Now then comes that the scoring and the interpretation is quite lengthy and sometimes can be subjective in nature. So that's why specialized people are needed to assess this kind of technique. So the first example of your projective technique is your Rorschach inkblot test. Now it was developed by a Herman Rorschach. It consists of 10 cards. Now 5 of them are in black and white and 2 of them is in red ink, and the last 3 are in pastel colors. Now I used to get confused between that if it is 2 red ink or if it is 2 of pastel colors. So I remembered it by using music. So have you heard that song that Do Dil Mil Rahe Hain? So I use that Do Dil, so as Dil is red color, so 2 is equal to your red ink and then 3 is of pastel colors. I know it's quite irrelevant, but still you can use that, right? Then there are 2 stages of it, of administering. First is the performance proper. So in that the subject is shown that cards, and the test administrator asks the subject that what you can see in that card. So to make that card, you have to put 1 drop of ink in the middle of it, and then you can fold that, and whatever shape it comes out of it, you have to show to the subject. Then the second stage of administering is the inquiry, where there is a detailed report about how, when and upon which basis the subject have given that answer. Then comes your thematic apperception test. It was developed by Morgan and Murray. It consists of 30 picture cards and 1 blank card. So first of all, the subject is shown that picture cards, and sometimes 5 is sufficient and sometimes 20 can be used. It depends upon the administrator and situation. So then the subject is asked to form a story out of it and ask a question like what led to their situation, what are the characters feeling, what will happen in the future, what is happening in that situation. So based upon the responses that the subject gives, it shows a significant aspect of their personality. Now Uma Chaudhary, she did the Indian adaptation of thematic apperception test. Then comes your Rosenwick picture frustration study. So here Rosenwick wants to study how the people, they express their aggression in frustrating situation. So here the subject is shown cartoons in which one frustrates another or calls for a frustrating situation. Here they try to assess whether the focus is on that frustrating object, protection of that frustrating object, or something constructive, or you can say finding solution of that problem. Now Parikh, he did the Indian adaptation of Rosenwick picture frustration study. Then comes your sentence completion test. So as the name suggests, here they use a number of incomplete sentences where the starting part of it is given and you have to complete that statement. Now in that, the responses that the subject give, it shows their motivation, their attitude, and their unconscious desires and feelings in a good way. So if there are a lot of incomplete sentence like I will do dash, I prioritize dash, my father is dash, my greatest fear is dash. So the responses that you will give to this incomplete statement shows a significant aspect of your personality. The last example of projective technique is your draw a person test. So here the subject is asked to draw a person, and when they are done with making that or drawing that person, then they are asked to make the opposite sex of it. So if it is a male figure, then they are asked to make the female one, and then the vice versa. Now based upon the drawings or the pictures that they have made, then the administrator asks that they have to make a story out of it as if the persons are the characters of that screenplay or that novel or that story. Now there are certain interpretation. First, that if there is omission of facial features, like the person have not made the nose, the person have left the eye, the person have not properly made the facial features of that person, then it shows that they are trying to evade or that they are trying to avoid a highly conflict ridden interpersonal relationship. Then if there is a graphic emphasis on neck, I mean the neck is too large or the neck is too small or it is irregular in shape, then it shows that there is a lack of control over their impulses. Then last is that if there is a disproportionately large head, it's a large head that they have made and the lower part is this much, then it shows the preoccupation with any organic brain disease or headaches. Then comes your behavioral analysis. So first is your interview. Now as we know, interview means to seek information on one-to-one basis, and in-depth interviewing, it tries to go beyond than just getting replies from that person. Now there are two types of interview. First is structured interview and second is unstructured interview. In structured interview, it has a specific procedure, it is objective in nature, and there is already prepared set of questions which are very specific in nature, whereas in unstructured interview there is no pre-made set of questions. They are made on the spot based upon the responses that the subject is giving, and that responses that they give have enough potential to reflect about their true personality. Then comes your observation. Now observation is a sophisticated procedure. Now why I am saying sophisticated procedure? Because it can only be done by some specialized and trained psychologist only, and they are going to observe people in natural setting. Now there are certain kind of problems that we may face. First is the professional training is required to obtain valid data through different methods, which is time consuming and quite demanding in nature. Second is that the maturity of the psychologist is preconditioned, because if it is not there, then we are not going to get valid and good data by using different methods. Third is that the mere presence of the observer as a stranger can contaminate the result. So if you are in a marketplace and you just found someone observing you and he or she is a stranger, definitely you will try to alter your behavior and you will not behave in a natural way. So in that situation, it can actually contaminate the results. Then comes your behavioral rating. So behavioral rating are frequently used in educational and industrial setting. Now it is done upon those who know the access intimately, like it can be done upon your friends, your family members, or with someone with whom you are very close. Now they are asked to put the individuals into certain categories. However, there are certain limitations that we can face. First is halo effect. Now I'm not saying the halo that you see here. Halo effect means that sometimes based upon the biasness that we have, it color our judgment. So if the person is having a good impression about you, so they are going to just give the answers in such a way that it will portray you as someone who is having a perfect personality. Now if the person is having a bad impression about you, then they are going to give the answers in such a way that is going to portray you which you are not, means something that is bad. Then is your middle category bias. So sometimes people want to play safe, so they are not going to give perfect yes or no. So if there is an option that I don't know or I am confused, they are going to tick every time that option throughout the test or throughout the questionnaires. Then is your extreme category bias. Now there are some people who don't give a damn what is written in the middle category. I am going to take the extreme one, that is yes, yes, yes to everything, or no, no, no to everything. Okay. Now here you can also add social desirability point, that people try to give the answer so they can be considered as someone who is socially desirable. Then comes your nomination. Now nomination is used in peer assessment. So here the people are asked that to choose one or more people within the group with whom they want or they would like to study, they would like to dance, they would like to play, they would try to go on an adventurous trip, and etc. However, the answers that the people give, it is found to be highly dependable, and sometimes it is even based upon the personal biasness. Finally, last topic of chapter 2, that is situational test. The most commonly used one is situational stress test, because it tries to understand how the people are going to behave when they are in a stressful situation. So here the subject are asked to perform a task where the other people are already advised by the administrator that they have to be non-cooperating, they have to be interfering. So here verbal report is also taken from the subject about what he or she were asked to do, and those that situation can be realistic or it can be created through video play. With this, I want to end this video. I hope you liked my explanation. So please like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon for latest notification. If you have any kind of doubt, let me know in the comment section. I would love to clear it all. You can join my Telegram channel to get the notes in PDF format. With this, I sign out.